Breaking news. A leak now reveals that the United Arab Emirates have apparently secretly bought Bitcoin, and the USA is no longer in first place for Bitcoin holdings, but is being surpassed by the United Arab Emirates. We're going to take a look at how true these rumors are. This is really something else. We also see Donald Trump tweeting that he wants to suspend the debt ceiling in the USA. This means that the next massive wave of money is flowing into Bitcoin. We have Cynthia Lummis confirming that the Federal Reserve is buying Bitcoin, even though Jerome Powell has come out against Bitcoin and said, no, we're not buying any Bitcoin. The Federal Reserve will buy Bitcoin if the Reserve Act goes through. This confirms Cynthia Lummis again. And we have another German politician standing up in the German Bundestag and advocating for Bitcoin. It's really amazing what's going on here. 2001, before we get to the Bitcoin leak and whether the USA is really no longer number one when it comes to Bitcoin holdings. Take a look at what we're seeing here in the German Bundestag now. Another FDP politician who is clearly taking a stand for Bitcoin. Whether you want to believe him or not, that's another question. But one thing's for sure, Bitcoin has now arrived in Germany as well.
Christian Lindner has already pointed out that maybe we should make a little progress on the topic of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and show a bit of openness. We've received feedback there. They can't imagine it. It's just the Bitcoin bros again. This has a system. It's a problem when, with every new area we propose, we immediately get hit with cliches and other things instead of at least considering a friendly, business-friendly regulation. Crypto is just the Bitcoin bros, stock culture is gambling, nuclear energy is bad, and genetic engineering is evil. You won't be able to create a functioning economy in Germany just with subsidies and redistribution. We also need to explore new market areas and free ourselves from this narrow moral straitjacket that we sometimes try to impose on the economy. If we don't open ourselves up to new things, we won't be successful economically. Please don't forget, the whole party has to be paid for by someone. At some point, the last taxpayer will have left this country if we don't turn things around. Thank you very much.
So I've already left the country. I emigrated from Germany, sending greetings back to Germany from El Salvador. But sure, all jokes aside, it sounds good at first, and it's great that Bitcoin is being discussed here now. The big question remains whether this is credible, because what the FDP often says is A, and what they actually do is B. So we still need to look at this critically, but it's definitely very, very positive that Bitcoin is increasingly in the public eye here. And I think for the first time, the word Bitcoin pros has actually been mentioned in the German Bundestag. So this is also very, very interesting. But what's much more interesting than what's currently happening here in Germany is taking a look at the USA, because there are really some new disastrous statements from Donald Trump. It's called Load Watcher Guru here, and the designated President Trump is calling for the abolition of the debt ceiling, meaning that the USA can basically print unlimited money. I mean, it's always such a clown scenario that you see there. There's a debt ceiling and it just keeps getting raised. So the debt ceiling is really just there to be expanded. The debt ceiling hardly has any significance if it's just going to be bypassed anyway. And both parties in the USA know very well that the debt ceiling will be bypassed again anyway. And I believe it's not in January or something when the debt ceiling will need to be raised again. And then Donald Trump just says, hey, let's get rid of the whole clown show right now and bypass the entire debt ceiling anyway. That's very, very interesting, especially in the context of the Department of Government Efficiency, because it just doesn't make any sense. On the one hand, you're betting on Bitcoin, and on the other hand, you have a Department government efficiency to get the national debt under control, so to speak, and perhaps make things a little more efficient. But on the other hand, they also say, hey, let's go even harder. Let's suspend the debt ceiling. That already implies that they're going to rack up even more debt, but I'd say that's fine for us because they can just inflate themselves to death with the US dollar. All of this will be good for Bitcoin and will massively pump the Bitcoin price up. We're also currently seeing that the dollar has a very, very strong position internationally, which isn't necessarily good for Bitcoin. But if Donald Trump keeps going all out, keeps throwing out money packages, unleashing these money tsunamis, then that will be good for Bitcoin. Bad for the dollar, but good for Bitcoin. And those who have Bitcoin here are actually very, very well positioned. So it's very, very interesting if Donald Trump now introduces a Bitcoin reserve strategy at the same time as the Department of Government Efficiency, and then also abolishes the debt ceiling. This combo could lead to Bitcoin exploding. But this combo also raises a lot of question marks because it really doesn't make any sense at all. And then there was actually a question at the FOMC meeting from the Federal Reserve to Jerome Powell asking if the Federal Reserve will buy Bitcoin. And Jerome Powell clearly says, no, we will not, and we can't do that legally. And now take a look at what Cynthia Lummis has to say about this.
Hey, It doesn't encourage me, but I'm a German. And what I'm saying is they don't have it. They're now thinking about owning Bitcoin. I want to give it to them. I want our federal government to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve that can help back the US dollar as the world reserve currency and then serve as a long-term savings account, thereby offsetting our national debt, which is over $36 trillion now. So my proposal would have the US purchase through other assets it already owns.
So she clearly said that Jerome Powell just stated that they currently don't have the authority to buy Bitcoin, but Cynthia Lummis wants to give the Federal Reserve the authority to buy Bitcoin. She also makes it clear again that we may want to sell other assets here. And with that, she's most likely referring to gold certificates, saying that she wants to sell gold and sell gold certificates to buy Bitcoin with that. So there's no need to worry if a Bitcoin reserve strategy goes through. That was also my concern. I mentioned it in the video yesterday. What happens then? Can the Fed even do that? Just buy and sell Bitcoin, whatever. But according to Cynthia Lummis, it's not a problem because they will then get the authority to do so. So apparently it's anchored in the Reserve Act that the Federal Reserve can buy Bitcoin 2001. And now something really exciting has happened here. Everyone knows that the USA is currently the nation with the most Bitcoin, almost Bitcoin. And there's also this whole race for the Bitcoin reserve strategy. So the question is, who's going to buy a lot of Bitcoin first? And many also think it was a dumb idea for Donald Trump to make this public because now other countries are coming in and will front run the whole thing. And there were the first statements at the men's conference in the United Arab Emirates. CC, the founder of Binance, said that the United Arab Emirates have already bought a massive amount of Bitcoin. Many people said, okay, need to keep an eye on whether what he's saying is really true. We don't really know. But now more and more leaks and background information have come out, as well as tweets suggesting that Dubai has actually bought a large amount of Bitcoin. Sorry, I mean the United Arab Emirates. We have Joe Concerti here, who says that the United Arab Emirates are now the country with the most Bitcoins. Here, he even says that I was actually too low in my assessment and that the holdings of the United States will surpass that of Bitcoin. What are you going to do about it, Donald Trump? That's exactly the question. What is he going to do about it if other states have front-run him now? We also know that all the eastern states or all the Far Eastern states, some of them really have huge pockets, they have endless money, all the sheikhs agreed that they would hold a big conference here and invite everyone here. Maybe they discussed some things behind the scenes and then at some point it officially comes out, hey, we've massively filled our bags. So in another tweet from the Bitcoin therapist, there are credible rumors that the United Arab Emirates have secretly accumulated more than Bitcoin without plans to disclose their position and that they are currently driving up the price of more coins. So that's exactly the topic. You don't want other people to front run you. You want to get the best prices possible. And it's always so difficult to keep something like that a secret. I mean, just imagine if a nation buys 300 Bitcoin, that would put them right in first place. And keeping the whole thing a secret is really, really difficult. We've also seen this with Bhutan. They've been mining Bitcoin since 2017, but Bhutan is a very, very small country. You could also say that Bhutan doesn't have any Bitcoin holdings in the year 2001. Region also in the size of Optimum accumulated. But even then, it eventually came out that they own Bitcoin. And something similar could have happened here with the United Arab Emirates, that it's slowly starting to leak out. And I also want to remind you, Edward Snowden said at the beginning of the year that there would be a major nation this year that would buy a massive amount of Bitcoin and then publicly announce it. I have no idea if he meant the United Arab Emirates, but this is really a hot topic right now. If there's any truth to this, and I wouldn't say that the chance of this rumor being true is 100%, but if there is something to it, then this would be massive, massive news. That's so crazy, it's hard to imagine. That would also be a slap in the face for Donald Trump, but that means it's even more important for Donald Trump to act quickly now. He really has to. If he wants to go with the Bitcoin reserve strategy, he probably needs to issue an executive order on day one and dump massive amounts into Bitcoin right away. Not like Cynthia Lummis says, buying Bitcoin once a year is way too little. He needs to buy at least 500,000 so right away. That's at least my assessment, because if he doesn't act quickly enough, he'll be overtaken by other nations. If he doesn't have the biggest Bitcoin bags, then he might as well forget about the Bitcoin reserve strategy. So Donald Trump may have made a historic mistake by kicking off the FOMO, the National Bitcoin Nation State FOMO, but it's still exciting to watch. It's important to take away that all of this is currently just rumors. These are hot rumors, so there are different sources reporting this in the year 2001. It could also be that they're all just copying off each other, but it's important to say that there are no official sources. But it would be stupid if the United Arab Emirates made that public, so we can keep a very, very close eye on this. I'm going to put a link down below to 21 Bitcoin, where you can easily and safely buy Bitcoin. Here you can set up savings plans, and you can also set up an auto transfer to your wallet. This is suitable for beginners as well as advanced 2001. Big recommendation, with the code Bitcoin Hotel, you can get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin here. I'll say goodbye. Let me know what you think about the massive leaks here. Can you agree with that, or do you think it's just nonsense? And if it's not the Saudis or some people from the Far East, then what are the new nations that you have in mind that will be buying Bitcoin on a massive scale? See you. Until then, peace out, 1000.